When we moved into Salters Point, we were handed a platter with 50 family friends on that platter immediately. And those people are lifelong friends.
It's just such a nice feeling. Like you're sitting here and people stop by, see you, we're like, hi, and they walk up, and it just very, very inviting, very friendly.
The people here, to me, we have great friends here, and forever, and that's to me special.
I mean, watching the sunrise in the morning with a cup of tea off the porch is a pretty incredible experience.
My favorite thing is to wake up early and sit right where you're sitting and watch the sunrise. And you see the orange come up and today was one of those days, right?
The most special thing to me is the pitch black. You walk outside and there may be stars and a moon, but where in this day and age can you be?
The orange comes up, the water is glass, and the whole sky just lights up. And you can sit here, I could sit here all day.
The neighbors are wonderful. It's a relaxed place. I think everyone sort of sees it as a protected zone or something.
I always liken Salters to a magical place being lost in time.
And it's a hidden oasis, I think. Yeah. And there's just a magicalness to it. And I love being able to walk to tennis, walk to the beach, walk to boating.
A calm comes over me.
Everyone comes and just wants to sort of enjoy life and get along.
Just walk down the street and say hi to people.
And this place always brings that back to me.
We definitely exhale and like come here and relax, but the best thing is that I kind of feel like I go back in time.
Well, it feels that as new people come, everybody seems to come here because it's a step back in time. And people come here for the feeling that you have when you're here, and that you can let your kids run around, and everyone's here to be community.
Now I come through the gates and I make myself take a breath, and I look down the golf course, and then I come down Buzz Bay, and it's just like, okay.
Late June, just down the street, and I said to Dick Hurd, I was like, oh, it's so nice. You can finally hear all the kids' voices, and they're riding their bikes in the middle of the street.
My kids get to do things that they can't do in our modern, like, suburban places. Like my 4-year-old, and now he's 5, but can roam free and go find a friend at 8 a.m. in the morning. There's a pack of bike kids, and they come home at dark. And we have to find them for dinner, but we know that they're safe and that they're roaming free together.
It's tough to be ripped away, and it's wonderful to come back. And when we come back in May to sort of start to get things ready for June, it's shocking. It's almost you can't believe it's still here. You can't believe the memories are all true.
You come through the gate, and you come up by the casino, and you're kind of on that hill, and you just see. You just see the whole vista, right? You look over the golf course and you see out to Buzzards Bay, and it's just kind of like this.
Salters is different. It's a much simpler lifestyle here. It's not for everybody.
I always joke about it's like the Twilight Zone. I'm going back in time. I'm going to my magical place.
It reminds me a lot of, because I grew up in Massachusetts, of what Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket was like in the 70s and 80s, before the world decided they had to go to those two islands.
A lot of people go to summer homes, they want a lot of social life, with cocktail parties galore, and going out to fancy restaurants on the Cape. Salters is much different than that.
We come down, we live in the village, and we come down 2 or 3 times in the winter just to be here.
It's really an amazing place. There is, as you're sort of getting at, this just like, wow.
I don't know, maybe a lot of people don't get it, but everybody here gets it. Everybody here knows how lucky we are to be a part of this community.
Any day is a perfect day at Salters as far as I'm concerned.
So there's plenty of communities around here like Salters that accommodate different opportunities. For example, Masham is around the corner here. It's much more historical family kind of encampments down there. Round Hill, which is between us and Nonquit, and people quip to me all the time that the houses look like Weston or Wellesley or suburbs of Boston, as opposed to beach houses like they look like here. There's some big issues that come up, but there's some pretty interesting bylaws that were put together back in 1916 when the place was established that creates sort of guide wires for us, or rails for us. It's a living document, kind of, it's the equivalent of the Constitution at Salters Point, and it's sort of runs itself when you go with the guidelines.
It was very, very different. I mean, I think a membership was like $1,500 a year. And you were not very popular if you suggested being higher.
The challenge part is to hold on to the precious parts of Salters, which is the spirit, and allow it to evolve with new people and technology.
The way I look at it is, what's the next generation going to look at Salters? That's really what I care about.
The generations keep coming back to Salters.
We have family coming and going. It's like the tide. They come and go. Comes in and goes out. Comes in and goes out. And we have kids and grandkids that are always visiting with us. And we are constantly saying, welcome, and we're constantly saying goodbye. And every time I say goodbye to them, I turn to my wife, Steph, and say, you know something? I'm glad we don't have to leave. There's a real challenge here of the old school inhabitants of Salters Point that look at it as going back in time, and the new kids, the new owners that come in and say, we want, for example, sprinkler systems.
The current owners are all younger. They're not at, in their 70s, 80s, blah, blah, blah. There's a younger generation.
These children are the future. Your grandchildren, and this is to love a place, and that the place continue to be a place for young families. I mean, I think July and August really to continue the tradition of children's activities and family activities.
We met renters on the pier this summer who said, we're in line for a house and we'll just keep renting until one becomes available. I mean, I think people really do wait for their time,
Before COVID, of course, there were 5 or 6 homes sitting on the market for a year or two. People couldn't sell them. COVID hit and everything sold overnight. And it really hasn't stopped.
New families, new energy, new ideas. There's a kindness. Not that there wasn't kindness when we were children, but I think there was more of a formality.
For me, it's a dramatic change. I mean, when my father bought this place, there was a lot of difficulty between a Jewish family buying this property and Salters being old Yankee families. And so my parents didn't have any desire to join, and Salters board had no desire of us being part of it.
Things change. Families die out. Some people have children, some people don't. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good thing because it's the spirit is still here.
I think in the next 10, 15 years, this whole side of the Buzzards Bay is going to explode. As everyone says, the pain of going over the bridges to the Cape, they're going to be like, I can drive here quick enough, and now I can take a train, so I could live and work in the city and take the train each day, and I have a feeling the boom is coming.
It's pretty incredible, the generational friendships too, and hearing stories of, you know, time long gone, of all the friendships and the families that are still here. It's pretty special.
My great-grandmother owned a home here, and which then became, you know, the family home. And we would come just for a couple of weekends or maybe a week or two when my great-grandmother was alive.
My grandmother came here, I believe, in 1910. And my mother grew up here, and I grew up here, and our children.
I remember when my great-grandmother was here, we called her McGaddy. My brother and I would have dinner with McGaddy in her bedroom, and we'd get a huge bucket of steamers between the two of us, my brother and I, to share.
So it was just, my mother got married here. So it was just, and my mother was running the wedding. Because I was only 19.
And we would sit there and watch 8-track tapes with my grandmother.
My father bought it in 1943. The first owner was Frank Mosier, who was one of the incorporators of Salters Point.
Everybody had a house.
There was a group that apparently went into somebody's house who was not there, and they moved the entire bedroom out into the yard. You know, the beds, the dressers, whatever they could maneuver, and it was set up just the way it was upstairs, but now it's in the yard.
And asked him if he was still interested in buying the house, because my father always loved the house. And that's how we bought it.
I just fell in love with it because I had grown up in a place called The Moors in Falmouth, which my grandfather founded about the same time as Salters Point was founded.
You know, when I was young, I was a runner. And when I ran out on Smith Neck Road, it was a rarity to see anybody running. And what the hell's the guy doing? He's running.
My mother and I used to ride our bike all the time into Padenham, have lunch at Julia's. There wasn't a car on the road.
And I would have, actually guys would come by and throw beer cans at me. So, no, because people didn't run.
And a lot of restaurants, they had Gifford's Fish Store.
And they had Brown's Drugstore.
A big Brown's Drugstore.
A liquor store. A cleaners.
Johnson Cleaners.
They had everything.
Today, you drive down Smith Neck Road, you know, it's a traffic jam of runners.
The cocktail parties were coat and tie, pretty much. And we just discovered some old photographs, and my daughter's going, God, Mom, I mean, just to go to a neighbor having people for cocktails, and they dressed.
I can remember when the South Beach was more active than the Pier Beach. Yeah, when we were, until about 1950, that was a beautiful beach. There were no rocks on it.
It was South Beach.
Very special. Yeah, and we loved South Beach.
Because
they even had a raft out there.
I had been quite ill when I was young. I had spinal meningitis and had to learn how to walk again afterwards. Wow. And so my mother was always protective of me.
Our father died when we were children. And I have this memory, I can feel it viscerally, of having, we had these rocking chairs on the porch in the house. It's my brother's now. And I can remember sitting in his lap and rocking.
She would try to build me up because I was so bloody skinny. I wish I was a lot lighter today.
That was a costume party. I mean, back in the day, and I don't know whether they do it now or not, but I mean, that was my costume. I was Cupid. And somewhere, I think there was a bow. Yeah, they wouldn't give me any arrows though, darn, you know.
She would have me row her out to the breakwater and row back. And she would pack a lunch, and we would sit on the Hunt Rock out there and have lunch and row back.
That was taken on the South Beach, and I think about 1933, because my mother was engaged, so that's 90 years ago. And there's my mother, Mary Alexander.
Yes, cleared out all the houses down there.
And that was the big hurricane that washed out 7 houses on the beach.
And there was a man who died in one of the houses because he wouldn't leave.
On South Beach in 38, yeah.
But there was one house left after 38. And then when we had Carol, the house drifted across the pond and ended up in the woods back here. My dad was watching it, and it kept shaking and shaking.
The remnants are there, and every once in a while you come up and you can see a fireplace.
I guess it was a mantelpiece that we used to use when we would go down there for picnics and build a little fire and put the ketchup and mustard and stuff on top of the mantelpiece, and then that disappeared.
And in fact, this house was moved probably 30 feet up, and it's at an angle. If you drive by sometime, look at our driveway. It's perpendicular to the house, but not to the street.
South Beach really went out of use when the homes were destroyed there during Carol in 1954.
Manny Oliveira, who used to be here many moons ago, I'm sure a lot of people remember him. He did all the moorings, the waterworks, I mean, anything to do with the beach. You wanted lobsters, he got them.
Manny the fisherman. He just settled himself there on someone else, on the Butler's land, which is now the Riley's land, and he made his home there. And he had rails, and he brought his big fishing boat up onto the beach, and he would row out fisherman style, standing up in the boat and rolling forward.
He was a stalwart. I mean, he had a little sailor's cap that he wore, and it was a blue jeans bib. That was his uniform, but anything he wanted, he'd get it.
He was great with the kids. You know, all the kids hung around Manny the fisherman, who was a gruff old guy.
But it's a wonderful spirit to know people on the beach. Everybody knows everybody, really.
Walking on South Beach, like to find a beach that is a wild beach that is pleasant to walk on, that's not mobbed by, scores of people. I don't know where else you'd find that.
We have one big, huge rock in the middle of our beach, which we have pictures of my mother sitting on that rock with the 3 kids, and someone took a picture of her. That rock now is about a foot high on the beach.
I love the pier, like jumping off the pier. Even when I was younger, going for a run and jumping off the pier, watching my kids jump off the pier, They're so excited for their first jump every year. They're so sad with their last jump. It's just our favorite part.
We had beetles then, and pumpkin seed, which is now still at anchor and on the mooring out there that the Ace Bailey owns. On the weekends, we had some races, and we invited the sailors from Misham to come and race in with us and on the weekends.
We had races every Wednesday and Saturday. We had beetle cats, and we used to race in the beetle cat races. And see, unfortunately, the beetle cats, people don't use them anymore, but there's 2 out there now. And they were, when we were kids, that's how we learned how to sail. And they had races, and they had adult races for the beetle cats.
You would have 15 or 20 catboats here that would race regularly. That all, there were small sloops, 20-foot, 22-foot sloops. That is all changed now.
We go to Cuttyhunk, we go over to Martha's Vineyard, we've gone over to visit friends in
Osterville.
We've just learned how to sail this year, and we sailed out to Quixhole just yesterday, and that's like the sort of memory that will last the rest of my lifetime that this place generates.
It's probably, for my money, the best sailing in the world is Buzzards Bay. You can almost, not this summer, but most summers you can set your watch by the fact the wind will blow from the northeast in the morning and southwest after 2 o'clock. And you can sail out beautifully with the wind behind you in the morning and sail back from the islands in the afternoon with the wind behind you once again.
I look back with great joy.
I think a lot of memories are made in beautiful moments like that.
My husband, Burr Purnell, and I had been living in California for 20 years, and we studied organic farming. And so we had our own garden and raised chickens and had a lot of community that was part of it. And that was really important to the way that we lived our lives. So when we came to Salters and lived here year round, there was really an opportunity to bring what we learned here to Salters Point. So that was the impetus of seeing if the community was interested. Everyone came together to help build the infrastructure, and we led that effort. And then we planted in the spring, and everyone came together to plant. Planting together and then harvesting whenever anybody wanted it was really the best way for Salters to come together to do that.
Yeah, so this year we did some different things, kind of for all generations, which I loved. We had a food truck and a band on the green, and everybody kind of brought their beach chairs or their golf cart and had dinner and danced to the music. And then we also did a really cool movie night with free popcorn from the local movie theater. Yeah, we saw Jaws.
We had one golf cart that went all out and had a big balloon Jaws on top, and the golf cart was totally decked out.
My wife Steph and I saw Jaws being filmed on the Vineyard 50 years ago, and we never knew that it would be such a hit at that time. And of course, we have a DVD of it, and we show it every summer to everybody, our family down here. So seeing it again on the Common, as I call it, it was great fun, and what a beautiful evening it was for it. It was perfect.
I mean, there's a real tip of the hat around here to history. For example, we do a clam bake every year that was started in 1916, and it's a whole new generation of 40-something-year-olds who have picked up the mantle, and they have started this down on South Beach. Used to be down on Pier Beach. And it's amazing how you can go back in history and look at some of these little items that start to percolate, and people are starting to do the same things that they were doing 150 years ago. So.
You guys, I couldn't find any other baskets, but I found it. at the end of the thing. It's at the end of the table.
She grew up in the Midwest and never knew about those things. I grew up and I'm like,
You boil lobsters. What do you mean you stick them in the sand with fire? I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, so my husband, Ryan, Matt, and Tate all kind of done that. And we started that, or they started that, and we kind of help out the COVID year that we were all first down here in 2020.
This is a little a charcuterie cup, as you will, a pretzel, 3 different kinds of cheese, 3 different kinds of meat, some olive and crackers, all beach ready and sand proof.
oh my God, you don't see that anywhere else anymore.
So we have carrots and we have cucumbers and we have zucchinis and we have bush beans and lettuce and tomatoes and cutting flowers and potatoes. It's really pretty incredible bounty of food for everyone to harvest.
Let's see if we can find a cucumber.
One of the unique things about our community is that everybody's willing to come together to do the work for it.
Nice.
One of the really cool parts about the community garden is the involvement with the kids. You know, they're so enthusiastic and eager and willing to be part of this. And I remember a moment where the kids came down and they showed me how they were making a Salter's sandwich, which is a piece of lettuce and inside is basil, chives, and then a tiny little tomato.
Wow.
And they pop it in their mouth as if it's candy. And that it just makes it so worth it.
Right here, please. Right there. Can you get that? That's a big cucumber.
Oh, it's so exciting to see people so enthusiastic, and everyone is so appreciative that we have a community garden.
For the 100th anniversary, they started, everybody started at one individual's home for cocktails. And then each couple would draw a name out of a hat, and that would be the home that they would go to for dinner. So people would break out into, I don't know, groups of 8 or 10, go to a different person's house for dinner, have dinner, and then everybody was supposed to end back up at the casino for dessert. I wasn't here for the 100th anniversary of Salters, but I'd love to bring back the rotating dinner parties where you have a dinner party at everyone's homes.
Living here year-round is an incredible experience.
During the winter, the pond opens up.
I love being out here in the winter. It's so quiet. You can take a walk down to the beach, and it's just a very different feel.
In the winter, the light is different. Obviously, the air is different, and it's quiet. It's peaceful. In the summer, it's vibrant and incredible, and there is a little bit of a sadness once the last car drives away for their summer vacation. And then we move into a really peaceful place, and the walks and the snow and the wind, and you can see the sun rise at different parts along the ocean horizon. It's pretty incredible.
We were in our permanent home in Medfield, and I get this call the first week of November. It was on November 7th, 11/7, and said, I don't know whether it's your house or not, but it's something serious. And I said, I'm on my way.
I was in Florida at the time, and a neighbor of mine at our condo down there, he came up to me, he said, "You just had a humongous fire up at your home in Massachusetts." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" Because it made national news. And they were watching the 6 o'clock or whatever it was, and here's Laura's house just going up.
It went up unbelievably fast.
News right now, a large fire is burning in Dartmouth.
This is an exclusive community where generations of families come mostly to summer.
With the fire station a good distance away, crews arrive to a fully involved home.
Totally gone. It's really sad.
This fire is at Salters Point, which is right along Buzzards Bay.
And we got the picture of what was going on, and it was our house. It was on fire. The policeman or the fire department was there, and it was being destroyed. We knew it was a lost cause.
You can see this is a devastating fire. We're working to find out more information. As soon as it comes in, we will pass it along to you.
It was just like a tinderbox. It was like a matchstick. The whole thing was just completely in flames. It was awful. Thankfully, they weren't home.
It was approaching that home. The trucks had to stop one home before the firehouse, the home on fire, because the fire was rolling across the street. It was serious.
The fire department really didn't try to save our house, but they tried to save the house to the north and to the south of us. And they got singed a little bit, but fortunately were saved and not major damage done. A little bit, but not major damage done. But our house was a total loss.
They sprayed the 2 houses either side because all the windows of those houses blew out from the heat, and the walls were just charred.
My wife was at Fall River, and she was able to come by and check on the place. I mean, sadly, the Lourdes house was just devastated really rapidly. Thank goodness that no one was inside, no one was hurt.
The fire was total destruction, and there just wasn't a way for them to try to reconstruct what really caused it. Everybody, I think, is suspicious that it was an electrical fire. I wouldn't disagree with that, but we don't really know for a fact.
Somebody who was on Cuttyhunk sent me a text or an email with a picture, and the horizon's all black except for this little orange ball, which was the fire. And I mean, Cuttyhunk is what, 8-9 miles from here? It was big.
It's all behind me now, and all's well that ends well. And here we are with a beautiful new home, 4-season home, a solid home. Our winters down here are no more severe than they were in Medfield, and it's a delightful. I feel like we're closer to nature down here.
started courting when we were in college. We were 21 when we met, and we would spend a lot of our time in the summers here at Salters. So it became a really special and familiar place to us. Bert grew up here, you know, from the time he was born. And the sun was setting and the sky was a beautiful orange, and there was a breeze and music, and it's an incredible, like, exciting moment in life.
I had worked here as a young teenager, you know, in like 13 to 18 in there. And so we invited everybody. I knew everybody from living here forever. So I think my parents invited the whole point, besides our, you know, friends and nearest and dearest. And so my brother-in-law made that sign and put it up, unbeknownst to us. But no one seemed to mind because everybody was going to a party.
It was hot.
It was 95, the hottest June they'd ever had. See all those hats? They took the bridesmaids' hats and put them over their face and did everything.
The happy sauce was an evidence.
I didn't have any happy sauce, so
Oh, you
I
didn't?
wasn't drinking then.
I mean, we got married here. My husband proposed to me in the back porch of our house. We got married up on the casino. Like, I mean, I would love for one of my 3 boys to come back with their significant other and get married here.
Our younger son, Alex, and his now wife, Stephanie, he proposed to her on the South Beach. They said, this is the only place where we are going to have our wedding.
I don't know how many weddings have been here, but it's amazing the different places they've been.
It was a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and we got married right on the rock wall off of Gosnold Avenue, and all of our friends and family gathered, and you know, we lined the aisle with shells that we collected from the beach, and everyone looked on and grabbed a chair after the ceremony and walked up to the tent on the green, and we had a huge band and big fun. It was an incredible experience.
Remember who we met and got together was on the South Beach by
Yes.
that jetty.
Right out on the jetty.
Then Burr and I sailed off into the moon around 11 o'clock at night and stayed on mooring overnight for our first night being married. It was incredible.
It was, you know, like midnight, we're watching the full moon go over, right? And with a big group of people. And I felt someone try and hold my hand, and I thought, oh, if it's that crazy man I gave a ride to, forget it, he's walking home. And I turned around, and it was Sam, and he didn't let go of my hand the whole night. He walked me back.
The blue skies and the water surrounding us, it was perfect.
We wanted a place that was easy to get to, that we were familiar with, and was the most stunning location, you know, on all of New England.
Ours was a fairly casual wedding for our generation.
It is generally accepted that if the wedding is out, that you can sit, not there, but on somebody's steps.
It's different than any other. It can be, you know, like a formal wedding, but it's so casual and fun. And one of the highlights for ours was the younger Salters teens at the time, like dressed up and crashed the wedding. Like we knew they were coming.
It's not considered rude. It's just, you know, that's wonderful.
And I have a picture with them all, and now they're all adults and about to have their own children.
It was on, like the train had left the station and everything was just going to be perfect from this point on. And everyone looked so happy, and we couldn't have had a more beautiful day.
We've been married 67 years. I mean, we could be married 66, I guess, but I say 67. sounds better.
You're missing us for you.
When my parents were fortunate enough to buy this house, I said to my mom, you know, what do we love about Salters? And we all decided it's family time. You kind of forget about all your to-dos and the stresses of the world. You just come here and you relax and you just enjoy spending time together with other people. And nothing's, I mean, as much as things have changed, nothing's really changed, and the world is preserved here.
I think it's fantastic, and I think that I would be really hesitant to recommend a change here. This is our 6th summer, as I was saying. I would want to spend at least a couple decades here before I would venture forth with a change. I think that is the appropriate level of humility folks should have.
I'd like it to evolve naturally. I wouldn't necessarily want it to change.
Hopefully not changing too much from where it is today. I think people have to be realistic about what it costs to live in these beautiful communities. We're very privileged to be here and very lucky in many ways. So I don't think it needs to change a lot.
Well, I do feel that way, but change is inevitable.
A little change is possible.
I want to see it the same. I mean, obviously there's things that can be improved, but it doesn't have to change that much. I really just hope that my 3 boys will come back here with their kids and spend the summer with me. So I'm just trying to make it the same special place for as long as possible.
Why try to address something that is in many ways perfect already?